The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100 is recovering here on the day. Now, the biggest thing I want to discuss is kind of where we're at and how we're moving here. So a few things. We talked about this big demand that we had here on SPY in particular. And when you zoom in, you can kind of see how this area is. You can clearly see the consolidation there, clearly see how this was established. Now, a lot of people were saying that we were going to bounce from this level, things along those lines. And I also mentioned yesterday, the bounce that we saw from this wasn't necessarily the strongest. It wasn't high volume. It wasn't any indication of a reversal. Now, when I go to the daily chart, I want you to notice something. You're going straight through this demand in a 1 day candle. 1 day. You just went through, this is probably one of the more massive demands that you're going to have until we get back down to ES40 200, things like that. So that's where you're at now, and you're breaking below this level is officially invalidated. You get rid of it. Doesn't matter anymore. It's gone. Now, the next level from this, and this is kind of where things start to get interesting, is you're making this level right here. So this dotted line right here is the 100 MA, right? Something I kind of neglected over the past few weeks. So the 100 MA on the weekly. This green line is your 200 moving average on the daily. They're basically on top of each other at 418, 419. That's my next very big level. You have a little bit at 424, 420, but that's going to be the major line in the sand. And I'm going to tell you how I think that's possible and where we're going ultimately. Also got to talk about NVIDIA. It held up really great today, but then we saw AVGO, some other names really start to print. But before we get into that, to ask you to do two things: consider liking and subscribing. It helps the channel a ton. I appreciate all the support you guys continue to show up. And I'm glad that if in any way this channel can help you, every single day we make videos Monday through Friday. The Discord link is down below, but never feel like you have to pay to get content, because Discord is really to handhold and show you how and why we're trading. You can get a bulk of that information here already, but Discord, just so you're with us all day, you can ask us questions, tag us, see how we're trading, what we're trading, when we're getting in, when we're getting out, more details throughout the day. But if you want education and you're thinking about joining Discord, but you're new to trading, go to our website, go over to education, and make sure you start doing a deep dive for yourself to understand how we trade and things that go into this. This is all free. We don't have a course, right? We do teach how we trade and everything. But anyways, that's what's here, just so you know. Anyways, so let's get back into it. So when we're looking here, a few things we need to talk about on SPY, and then we'll get into some equities. Not going to be a very long video, but there's a lot to kind of digest here. So you're breaking down, that's where we're at there. ES also very close to that level, as you can see, kind of just creeping there, 42.90 roughly, most likely going to test. But the big level I would be watching is basically down to 4,200. We'll get into that here in a second. But then Nasdaq as well, the target has been 14.6, which we also put on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, I recommend doing so, because it's all there for free as well. I also let everyone know earlier in the day, 10:37 a.m., rejecting off of yesterday's lows, not a good look. You went to yesterday's lows, rejected perfectly, pushed down. The rest of the story was history, very easy, clear targets, everything we're looking at there. Now, I want to not skip over anything, but some of the biggest signs that I was looking at was right here. And again, this isn't to call people out or make anyone look bad. But this is for educational purposes, so make sure you kind of pay attention to this little part here. Now, I see a lot of people commenting about the DXY yields, oil, and other things, like kind of fundamental things that we look at. Now, it's important to realize when I'm looking at these fundamental things, like VIX is another one, I am not looking at those on 5-minute, 1 hour, 4 hour time frames. Why? Because those charts, and 4 hours okay, but like you want to have a lot of time, because you need to actually see how it's playing out, right? You're not day trading these, right? So you want to be able to actually have a viewpoint. And so someone this morning was quick to comment in Discord, was like, "Oh, we look terrible on the DXY and the bonds." But if you zoom out, you can clearly see the dollar is extremely bullish, right? There's no reason to assume this is bearish whatsoever. You're breaking over local highs. You're over, the market crash right there. You're in a very, very big level as we speak. And you definitely need to be keeping an eye on this. You zoom out a little bit more. You go down to what's happening with yields. He was saying the 10-year bonds were very weak as well. As we look at this chart, and again, I have to go to the daily just to give you a better view. There's nothing bearish about this chart, right? Very, very strong behavior. Mounted previous highs of 2022. We had a market bottom right here, and we continue to track up. The 10-year as well. Very, very strong. Okay? Understand that. And then you're also going to start seeing the 2 and 5 years start to break up as well, most likely. But we're being led by the 30 and 10, which is the most healthy movement there as well. And then obviously we have oil, which hit our target, kind of got rejected, but still looks really bullish there as well. So that's what we're looking at there. These are all very bearish signs on the market. I'm going to tell you that right now. The last one I'm talking about is VIX. VIX is coming into 20. So let's mark out 20 just really quick. Let me just we're going to roughly mark it out right there. Okay, so VIX. Very concerning where we're at. Okay, we were trading at 13, 14, very low levels, wasn't really concerned. You get above 20, then you're like, okay, we're starting to see volatility. We're starting to see big bets come into the downside. Now, the area of caution to where we've seen really big downside pushes has been $24. So that is my main look for right now, is I'm waiting for $24 to start seeing extreme volatility in the market, especially to the downside. Because things I want you to consider right now is we look at SPY and you had a great downside day, really great. But you can see the number right here, 1.3%, right? So you're not, when we rewind to, 2022 with those big drops, right? And if you are unaware, right, you see these major drops. A lot of those big red days were 2 to 3% red days. Whereas the market right now is 1.3, almost half of that, right? So things to consider. So VIX rising will play a very big impact on this and things to watch. But as of right now, there's still every reason to be bearish in the market, things to be considering. I also do want to be really transparent about a few positions that I have been in, and I want to go over those really quickly as well before we jump into anything else, just for transparency's sake, and so I don't forget. So I have been trying to track, and I'll try to do this for free. I don't ever want this to be limited to just Discord, because it's really to educate on long-term accounts and things like that. And so if you don't know, basically me and Jay for the business created a trading account, and it's really for like long-term growth. So we're going to be adding to this as well. We haven't added anything else. We started with 30K, which we've been saving up for the past year. Again, we have other businesses other than option drops that we do work with and that we're doing. So it's important to understand that as well. And that's kind of what we're looking to grow here, because we already maxed out our contribution to like our retirement account, so you can't really do anything else with this money. So this is kind of what we're doing here. Anyways, so we decided to get a Apple put to hedge our position. Just to let you know, you go back right here, Apple puts 520 to 25 entry. Those today almost hit around $7. So we actually ended up closing half of that position, and that is to hedge our Apple shares. So we're actually green on the account around 30,000 and like $700, give or take. So we're nice and green on the account, even though we're holding Apple shares. And that was the whole point, to mitigate any type of loss that we may incur while still making money in the process as well. So what we did is we started to close our position once you broke below these local lows right here, just to be very, very transparent. You broke below, we closed it like half of them right there, and we still have half of that we're letting run, and we still have the NVIDIA puts in that account as well. So I want to be really clear there. Now, equities, right? I said all that, kind of went down a laundry list of things. Let's talk about equities now. Okay. Actually, real quick, let's go over volume real quick, just so you can see. I just want to make sure we cover this on the good and bad days. So you can, I haven't even looked at volume. As you saw, it was like 20 million. That's the last time I checked it this morning. So today you're seeing a lot more volume. And so we are actually only about 12 minutes into after hours. This number will probably end closer to 90 million if I was going to guess. So you can see you're getting breakout volume in which direction. You're getting breakout volume to the downside, right? So again, very important to realize what we're looking at, why we're looking at it, and how the market's reacting to all this information as well. So that's what we're looking at there. Now, equities. Number one, AVGO. Congratulations if you caught this. What did we say the other day? You had a strong balance on the news around Google with it. You pushed into where? The 840, 839 range right there. Perfect test. Literally perfect. Don't know how else to say it. You came into target one, which was around 820. You bounced a little bit and you're going down to target number two. I do want to highlight there's a high possibility that AVGO just goes straight through 800. This is a very weak level. You know that I am very bearish on semiconductors. A break below like 790, and I think you could really start free falling here. NVIDIA, one of the better setups as well. The newsletter gave you a lot of good viewpoints there. I recommend subscribing to the newsletter. It said above 419, you're looking for 426. And you really kind of had multiple trades on the day. So you get above 419, you mount, you break above, or mount 419 right here. You push right into 428, 426. You actually push back down, so you could have got short back into that. You got rejected multiple times at 426 as well today. 1, 2, 3, 4, almost like 5 times. So about 30 minutes of rejection, and you end up pushing back down. Now, I am very bearish on NVIDIA. You're sitting at around the 100 MA, which is sitting at like 414 roughly, and you're bear flagging here. Giving you a little bit more of a visual as well. When you go to something like the daily, I think you get a little bit more answers. As you can see here also, look at that. You've been grinding below the 90 MA on the daily. You wick to it perfectly, reject it again. Very weak candle as well. Now, this is not guaranteed to drop, anything like that. Never want to say there's any guarantees. I still love NVIDIA. I still think a lot of downside is here. And before, my target was 402. However, I'm more bearish now than I was before because you're grinding on top of the 100 MA. I think if you break below this, you test 402 quickly, but I think that you will break 402, 400 and start breaking down towards 375, 380 most likely. That is my personal opinion. That's what I'm looking at there. Apple, another big name we're looking at, we've been talking about a lot. So you broke below that level, I'd be targeting the 200 SMA on the daily, which is around 166, 167. That's hopefully where we'll close out the runners that we have on Apple. Great looking name there as well. Someone asked me today about Microsoft because we mentioned it yesterday also. We said below 320, you're pretty bearish, but below 316, you have confirmation for more downside, hopefully targeting like 306 roughly. So you came into those lows, you could have took profits. You're kind of finding support there right now. Microsoft, it looks really bad, very weak. You're going to notice a big thing when you look at a majority of these big equities, like the top names. Netflix, we've already gone over a lot of these names already, but Netflix, very weak, probably going to hit the 200 SMA around 370. You're already coming into our target that we marked from a few days and weeks ago. Go check it out if you don't believe me. A very weak name there. I can go down the laundry list of everything. Everything looks terrible, right? Amazon breaking down hard, retesting that 330 level, 331, reject, pushing down, very, very weak. So again, you're saying the common theme, everything looks very, very, very weak. One name that did hold up today was Tesla. That's probably the last name that I call out. But one thing that no one's talking about as well that I think we all need to be discussing is the 100 SMA on the daily. Once again, we think we're just at this like invisible level. You go to like the 2 hour, you can see right here. Let me show you guys real quick. Is it on the week? It's on the weekly. I'm sorry. So on the weekly 100 SMA, you're coming into it, rejecting, pushing down below 240, looking for 232. I think weakness could step in here as well. The biggest thing for everyone to have a realization of or to be thinking out in the back of their mind. It's hard to be bullish. And I was like kind of curious. I was looking at some traders on Twitter and stuff today. I was just curious for my own sake, was because everyone kept saying, oh, Tesla's great. Tesla's this, that. I'm like, okay, like kind of just flat. You're just range trading. Nothing's really going. You're not breaking out of any levels. And the thing that's interesting to me is people are still trying to trade upside while SPY, Qs, ES, Nasdaq, Dow, etc. are all very, very weak. This is just for something that I wish someone told me earlier is focus on the trend, guys. We say it over and over. I sound like a broken record. If you focus on the trend, you trade the trend, 9 out of 10 times, you are going to have extreme success in comparison to trading against the trend. I'm going to tell you right now, that's my piece of advice. That's how I'm trading. That's what I'm looking at. If you have any questions, comment down below. I would love to answer those. Again, if you don't believe me, I've been trying to be really patient. This is just what's happened, right? You start making money when you get the action you're looking for. You're patient. You take advantage of when the opportunities are there. It was a huge day for Discord. Shout out to everyone in there. Have a good one, traders. See you tomorrow.